Hi everybody, and welcome back to one last video on dihybrid crosses. And this one presents us with an interesting scenario. The normal crosses we've been looking at have all been looking at how one trait gets passed down. So simple dominance, codominance, incomplete dominance, and even sex-linked traits are all looking at one trait being passed down. Now we're going to look at multiple traits. So in this case, it will be two traits. So over here we have pea plants. Capital R is green, which is the dominant trait. Little r is yellow, which is the recessive trait. And then capital H is tall, dominant, and little h is short. So the first thing we need to do is set this up. So let's say we have a parent who is heterozygous for both traits. So they are big R, big H, little h. So this would be a green, tall pea plant. Okay, that's one parent. Let's say the other parent is homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive. So this pea plant is green and short. Green and short. So keep in mind, independent assortment tells us that these genes can be passed down independent of these genes. So the genes for color will be passed down independently of the genes for height. And the way we set that up is we need to take each gene independently and compare it to the other one. So we would start with the big R, the big H, and we put it there. So now we're looking at whether the possibility that the dominant gene can be passed down together, or the dominant and the other one, which is RH, little h. So now it's possible that this parent could pass down the dominant color and the recessive height. Now we take the other little r here and we compare it to the H, RH. Now there's a chance that that gene setup can be passed down. And then little r, little h. And that one can be passed down like that. Okay? That's one parent. Now let's look at the other parent. This one's pretty easy because they are the exact same. So it's big R, little h, big R, little h, and then big R, little h, big R, little h. So that's how we set it up. Again, independent assortment states that each of these alleles need to be paired with each of these alleles in order to see all the genetic possibilities that each parent can pass down. All right, I'm going to do this cross. I like to put the same letters together, so the R's and the H's I like to put together, just because it's easier for me to read, so I can see what's happening pretty quickly, especially as I'm teaching it. And I'm sorry if I'm not talking. I struggle talking and writing. I end up writing something funky like that. So all I'm doing is combining the two, so you should always have four letters, two for one trait and two for the other in each box. Almost done. Okay, so there's what our cross looks like with all of our different possibilities. Now, let's set up a ratio over here so we can see what our phenotype ratio looks like. So what are the chances of green, tall pea plants? Out of 16, what do we have? I'm going to do this in a different color. Hello. So let's do them in green. Tall and green, which is big R, big H. So yes, no, yes, 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 and yes, yes, and yes. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are tall and green. What are the chances? Let's do this in blue. What are the chances of green and short? So big R, little h. Big R, little h. Big R, little h. big R little h, 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 big R little h. Okay, so this was tall and, green and short. That's also 8. So our ratio is 8 to 8, or we could also break it down 1 to 1. So 50% of our plants will be green and tall, 50% of our plants will be green and short. No yellow, which would be little r, which doesn't exist because this parent only passed down a dominant, and no, let's see, no yellow tall, there is short, right? So that's pretty much it right there. And then depending on this genotype here of the parents, that will change the genotypes here, which will change the ratio, of course, going across here. All right, again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we'll continue to work on these in class. Talk to you later, guys.